President-elect Donald Trump made some news over the weekend with these words.
Because we're being ripped off at the Panama Canal like we're being ripped off everywhere else.
Trump made that comment and others at Turning Point USA's America Fest on Sunday in Phoenix as he criticized Panama's management of the Panama Canal, accusing the country of charging excessive fees and warning against potential Chinese influence.
It was solely for Panama to manage and not for China or any other country to manage. You see what's going on there?
In a Truth Social post, Trump suggested the U.S. might demand control of the canal if Panama does not align its policies with U.S. interests, despite the canal being under full Panamanian control since 1999. China does not control the canal, but manages two ports near its entrances through a Hong Kong-based company. More than half of the ships that travel through the canal are either heading to or from the United States. Panama's president responded to Trump saying this: "As president, I want to express clearly that every square meter of the Panama Canal and its adjacent zone belongs to Panama and will continue to do so." The Biden administration announced Friday it is dedicating $1 billion to preserving the Ecuadorian Amazon rainforest.
This is a result of the president's recent trip to the Amazon and a continuation of the administration's effort to support innovative ways to address climate change through sustainable growth and development without burdening countries facing financial constraints.
The Daily Caller points out that while parts of the U.S. are still suffering from Hurricanes Helene and Milton's longstanding damage, the administration seeks to underwrite countries dealing with so-called climate change. Following Hurricane Helene, Biden announced $158 million funneled to Lebanon in humanitarian aid to support those affected by the conflict taking place there. The administration reportedly approved more than $1.8 million in recovery assistance toward the recovery efforts after Helene and Milton. And as you just heard Karine Jean-Pierre say, days before leaving office, Joe Biden is prioritizing the Ecuadorian rainforest to the tune of $1 billion. Greg.
All right. Well, the House Subcommittee on the Weaponization of Government released its final report on Friday. The 17,000-page report details findings on abuses by federal law enforcement, IRS abuses, and evidence of big tech colluding with the government to silence conservative voices online, often under the guise of so-called election integrity or public health concern. Close Trump ally Elon Musk responded with shock to the release of the report to his nearly 2.8 million followers on X. Republican head of the subcommittee, Jim Jordan, says the work is by no means complete, but was a good start at highlighting what many Americans feel is a two-tiered justice system that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris only made worse. Joining us now is Wall Builders president, Victory News contributor Tim Barton. Welcome to Victory News, Tim.
Thanks, Greg. Good to be with you.
Democrats claim that incoming President Donald Trump will weaponize the DOJ and intelligence agencies to take vengeance on his political enemies. Do you think that the 17,000 pages prove it's actually the Democrats that are committing these acts?
Well, absolutely, I do. And as Jim Jordan even pointed out from that committee, they're only scratching the surface with all the things that have gone on. And the hypocrisy coming from the Democrats right now, suggesting that Donald Trump might do what they've actually been doing now for years. It's incredibly tone deaf. When you have noted Democrats, and to give a little background context, I love sports. Used to watch it a lot. I don't watch it very much anymore because there's so much wokeness in sports. But one of the noted sportscasters on ESPN is Stephen A. Smith, noted Democrat, outspoken Democrat. And even he, over the last month, has acknowledged how he's turning on the Democrat Party because of their hypocrisy when you're watching what Joe Biden has done to pardon his son and what they've done against Donald Trump. When this is becoming obvious to noted, outspoken Democrats, you know there's a problem. And it's not from Donald Trump. It's from Democrats and Democratic leadership.
All right. Now, President Trump seems to have his eye on control of the Panama Canal and America purchasing Greenland from Denmark. People are calling the ideas crazy, but didn't Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan kind of have that idea first?
Well, yeah, Ronald Reagan pointed out with the Panama Canal that if America didn't have some kind of leverage voice in that, there's be a lot of security issues. And his concern really was security. But if you go back to Abraham Lincoln, it was William Seward who served on his administration. He's actually the guy that helped get Alaska to be part of America. He's the one that advocated that maybe we should purchase Greenland. And I'm pretty sure it was Harry Truman who even had similar ideas. So these are not as crazy and out of the blue as some people might think as Donald Trump expresses some of those thoughts. There's a reason for concern, but also for those of us that are paying attention, Donald Trump is very wise in using leverage where he can, with threatening to impose tariffs on different nations if they don't start, maybe like in Mexico, stopping some of these massive caravans from coming and the drug importation from the cartels. He's pretty wise at using leverage. And I think part of what he's saying, even with the Panama Canal, there's some leverage associated with it. However, it's not as crazy or far-fetched as some Democrat and maybe mainstream media personalities might suggest.
Yeah, if I remember right, it was Carter that gave the canal back to Panama. Senator John Fetterman was asked if Trump should be deemed a fascist. Here's what he said.
Kamala Harris said that he was a fascist.
Yeah, well, it's like that's her prerogative. I mean, but it's not a word that I would use, because you put a lot of Democrats, especially in my state, that I know and I happen to love people that are going to vote for Trump, and they are not fascist.
He went on to say that Trump won because he pledged to protect Americans' way of life. Your response to the senator's comments?
It's really interesting watching a guy like John Fetterman come around, where certainly when he was running as senator, there was a lot of reasons that people like me opposed him for policy positions, maybe even questions of if he was really capable of doing that job. But what's interesting is he has, over the last couple of months, displayed some incredible intellectual honesty that he's acknowledged where Democrats have been really wrong in some areas and maybe where Republicans have been right. And so I think it's actually kind of refreshing to see that there are some intellectually honest people out there, maybe even on the Democrat side, that I would disagree with him on so many policy areas, but he's not someone that's been drinking the woke Kool-Aid. And so that is kind of refreshing to see from a Democratic senator.